Good day, everyone. I'm Mhissy Mhae or Colandog, and this is a continuation of the report. Let's talk about the dimensions of cultural differences. A culture refers to the set of assumptions that group members share about the world and how it works and the ideals worth striving for. So, when we say cultural differences, it is also concerned deeply held the beliefs, values, and the customs that are more difficulty to identify. In understanding the cultural differences is particularly important for the managers because managers must understand their employees to motivate and also to lead them. And now, let's proceed on the 5 dimensions of cultural differences. The first is the Individualism Collectivism. It is the degree where the people act as an individual rather than as a member of a group. So, in this individualistic culture, just like for example, the United States, the employees are expected to be hired, evaluated, and rewarded based on their personal skills and accomplishments. So, in this culture, the employees are more likely to have a voice in making decisions. The second dimension is the uncertainty avoidance. It is refers to the degree which people prefer the structured rather than the unstructured situations. So, in a culture with a strong uncertainty avoidance, the orientation favor in the structured situations, their religion, law, or technology in these countries socialize people to seek a security through the clear rules on how will they act. So, in the culture with the weak uncertainty avoidance, for example, the Jamaica and the Hong Kong, their employers cope by not worrying too much about their future. The third dimension is the masculinity or the femininity. It is refers to the extent to which the culture values behavior considered the traditionally masculine or the feminine. The example of these masculine cultures, including the Japan, Germany, and also the United States. Their assertiveness and competitiveness are valued. The fourth dimension is the power distance. It is referred to the expectations for the unequal distribution of power in hierarchy. The example for these are the India, Mexico, and Russia. They have a great power distance. It means that the people attempt to maintain differences between the various levels of hierarchy. One of the differences in power distance is how the people talk to each other. In high power distance countries such as Mexico and Japan, the people address each other with titles just like Senior Smith or Smith's son. But in the other countries, especially in the United States, the people use the first name. That behavior would be disrespectful in the other countries. So the last dimension is the time orientation. It is refers to the degree with a culture that is focuses on the future rather than the past and the present. So, in the culture with a short-term orientation, such as the US, Russia, and the West Africa, the orientation is toward the past and the present. Their cultures tend to be emphasize the respect for the tradition and the social obligations. But in the culture with the long-term orientation, such as the Japan and the China, the values such traits as strip of persistence, which pay off in the future rather than the present. Next, the implication for expatriates and their families. The cross-cultural training. To prepare the employee for the cross-cultural assignments, the companies need to provide the cross-cultural training. In order to be successful in the foreign assignments, they are need to be first, competent in the area of expertise. Second, They are able to communicate verbally and non-verbally in the host country. Third, they should be flexible, tolerant of ambiguity, emotional stable, outgoing and agreeable, and also sensitive to the cultural differences. Fourth, motivated to succeed, they are able to enjoy the challenge of work in other countries. And they are willing to learn about the host culture, language, and also the customs. Lastly, they are supported by their families. So, a combination of experience and the training, it is appears to be one of the key to a successful foreign assignment, so the employees and also their families can benefit from the career management. Let's proceed on the three phases of foreign assignments. First, the pre-departure phase. The employees need to receive the language training and the orientation in the new country's culture and also the customs. So the importance of including the family in the orientation programs can't be emphasized, and the expatriate and their families require an information on housing, recreation, shopping, and healthcare in the area where they will be living. The expatriates should also talk to their employers about on how the foreign assignments will fit into their career ambitions, and also what kind of job they can expect when they return. The next is the on-site phase. The on-site training involves a continued orientation to the host country and its custom and cultures through the formal programs or through a mentoring relationship. So, a mentor from the host country may be assigned to the expatriates and to their families. It is also help them in gaining a better understanding about their new foreign work environment and community. The companies are now using the internet. Lastly, the repatriation phase. It prepares the expatriates for return to the parent company and the country from the foreign assignment. So, because of the changes that happen during their separation, the expatriates and their families are likely to encounter the high levels of stress and anxiety when they return. So, next, the implications of cultural differences for training. So, as you can see in the picture, the first cultural dimension is individualism. So, the implication in the culture with the high individualism expects a participation in exercises and questioning to be determined by the status in the company or in the culture. Second, the uncertainty avoidance. The implication is the culture in high uncertainty avoidance expect formal instructional environment and less tolerance for the impromptu style. Third, the masculinity. The implication is a culture with a low masculinity values the relationships with fellow trainees, and the female trainers less likely to be raised in the masculinity cultures. Fourth, the power distance. So the implication is the culture in a high power distance expects the trainer to be expert and the trainers expected to be authoritarian and controlling the session. Lastly, the time orientation. So the implication is the culture with a long-term orientation will have the trainees who are likely to accept the development plans and the assignments. So, in the interaction between the trainer and the trainees is considered as a positive aspect of the learning environment in the US. In some countries, this type of learning environment may be unfamiliar to the learner and may violate the accepted instructional norms. Consider the cultural differences that exist between the China and the Brazil when conducting a training programs. The trainers are held in high respect in China. Trainees are likely to be motivated to learn since the education is valued. Because China has a low level of individualism, the harmony is emphasized. As a result, the trainer should emphasize the team performance rather than the individual trainee performance. Next is managing workforce diversity. But first, let's define what is diversity. So when we say diversity, it can be considered as any dimension that differentiates one person from the another. And why diversity is so important? Diversity increases the productivity and it also motivates the people to seek out a new information and opinions, which leads to a better decision making and problem solving. Next is the managing diversity. It involves creating an environment that allows all the employees to contribute on organizational goals and experience of personal growth. So, this environment includes an equal employment of opportunities as well as fair and positive treatment of all employees. So, the employees who are comfortable working with people from a wide range of ethnic, racial, and religious background must be developed by the company. Managing diversity may require a change in a company culture. Next is the managing diversity through the adherence to legislation. As you can see in the table, it shows the cycle of disillusionment that results from managing diversity by relying solely on adherence to employment laws. The cycle begins when the company realizes that it must change the policies regarding the women and minorities because of the legal pressure between the number or the percentage of women and minorities in the company's workforce and the number available in the labor market. So, to address these issues, a greater number of women and minorities that are hired by the company, the managers see little need action for this because the women and the minority employment will raise and it will reflect their availability in the labor market. There are two diversity training programs. First, the Attitude Awareness and Change programs. It focuses on increasing the employees' awareness of differences in cultural and ethnic backgrounds, physical characteristics, and personal characteristics that influence the behavior toward the others. The questions like what is diversity are covered in the awareness training, who am I exactly, as well as the stereotypes, assumptions, and biases about the different ethnic groups. The concept behind this program is that by raising employees' knowledge of stereotypes and beliefs, they will be better able to avoid the negative stereotypes while dealing with coworkers from other cultures. Next, the behavior-based program. It focuses on changing the organizational policies and individual behaviors that inhibit the employee's personal growth and productivity. This program focuses on employee behavior, so in addressing problems at their roots based on leading indicators rather than waiting for the problems to occur.